Trump really seems to be losing it. A lot of people say he's not right in the head, while others argue that everything he's doing is actually calculated. Today, we're going to talk a bit about that, but most of our discussion will focus on the latest developments in the Russia-Ukraine war, specifically what territory Russia is aiming to take, what Ukraine might be willing to concede, the kind of support Ukraine is getting, and from whom, and ultimately, where this whole conflict could be heading. If you've got any questions or thoughts, feel free to share. Now, if you look at Trump's social media, especially his own platform, Truth Social, you'll notice that recently he posted pictures of leaders from three countries. He said India's Prime Minister Modi, Russia's president, and Iran's prime minister are basically tied up with China behind the scenes. According to him, they've gotten so close to China that they've lost their independence, like they've been swallowed up. Then Trump wrote something along the lines of, "Fine, go ahead, build your economic growth and prosperity with China." So what exactly is he trying to say? The tone is like someone who's bitter about an ex moving on. It's almost like he's saying, "You were with me before, but now you left me for someone else. It hurts, but if you're happier there, go ahead." At first glance, it reads like a sad, even juvenile post. And that's what's so surprising, that a former American president is posting online like a teenager complaining about a breakup. Then there's the executive order he signed. What was that order? It was to rename the U.S. Department of Defense back to the Department of War. Some people say this might only be used as a secondary name because officially Congress would have to approve it. Still, there's been a lot of debate. Supporters say the U.S. won World War I, World War II, and many other wars in between, and that the name War Department reflects that proud history. Why hide behind the word defense? Why make America look weak? That's the reasoning. Trump is basically saying America shouldn't appear weak. We need to be strong, not just in words, but in economic, diplomatic, and military action. By military action, he doesn't necessarily mean full-scale war, but he insists on taking some form of action. He argues that if America is weak economically, politically, and diplomatically, and at the same time facing unrest in cities across the country, then it's urgent to reestablish control. He claims that crime, drug addiction, and violence are out of control, that local governments have lost their grip, and that only federal intervention can fix it. In his words, cities are slipping away from government control. He points to deportations as an example. America is sending back undocumented immigrants, but not just from Latin America. He even mentioned people from South Korea who worked in big U.S. companies like Hyundai. They're being deported too. The shocking part is how they're treated, being handcuffed and shackled like dangerous criminals before being sent away. Trump's supporters argue this shows strength, but critics ask, what's the point of treating ordinary workers like terrorists? If anyone should be stopped, they say, it's Putin, not harmless immigrants. He also draws attention to Venezuela. The U.S. claims a huge amount of drugs come from there, along with places in Brazil and Nicaragua. American leaders have long insisted they know exactly where the drugs are produced, down to specific regions of jungle. But if they know all that, why can't they control how those drugs spread inside America? Look at cities like Philadelphia, where drug addiction is turning people into so-called zombies. Trump argues, if you really know the source, then why don't you know where those drugs go once they enter the U.S.? Fix that problem first.